very much.
Police in the US state of Missouri say they came under heavy attack overnight from protesters in the town of Ferguson. Nightly clashes have occurred since Michael Brown, an 18-year-old black teenager, was shot dead by a white police officer. Let's speak to American journalist Beth Gardner, who is in our central London studio for us this afternoon. Hello to you. What is it that makes particular incidents blow up to this level?
Well, you know, it can often be hard to say, Kay, why a particular shooting becomes a focal point to the degree that this situation in Ferguson has done. But I think clearly there's some, ongoing, really a tremendous well of anger and distrust towards law enforcement within black communities around America. And it's something that's been exacerbated as we've seen over the years, shooting after shooting. There's been many, many incidents. It's become a rather regular occurrence where a young black man, and often usually unarmed, is shot and killed by police. And the details of those incidents may vary. The details are often disputed. But the big picture, particularly as it's seen by many people in the black community, is that they are unfairly targeted by law enforcement. And that has prompted, tremendous distrust and anger, really. Having said that, there were also a lot of, even after the shooting itself, really serious missteps by the police in Ferguson that have exacerbated the tensions there. They didn't release the name of the officer for, I think it was a week after the shooting. They've been very, very sketchy about releasing any details of the actual incident. And as we've seen images, particularly last week, there was criticism of a real sort of military-style response. And in addition to that, a lot of chopping and changing by the police in their tactics and how they've handled these protests, and that has only served to make matters worse.
Is there concern? Obviously there is concern from what we've been seeing on the streets, but suggestion, perception is reality, of course, that there are more aggressive police tactics being used.
Well, it's been a popular strategy in policing over the last decade or two in the United States of sort of targeting small offenses, and the idea was sort of piloted in New York, but other police forces in other parts of the city have followed. Has taken this idea that if you target people who are committing small offenses, whether it's graffiti or riding a bicycle on the sidewalk or evading a fare on a subway train, that if you target those kinds of people, you will sort of get the bigger fish, as it were. So it's led to a very, very hands-on sort of policing, and there are allegations by people in minority communities and a feeling in minority communities that they are unfairly targeted. That perhaps it's seen by the police as it's okay to ride a bicycle on the sidewalk in a white neighborhood, but not in a black neighborhood. And these tactics also have led to, a lot of sort of daily low-level kind of confrontations between the police and particularly young black men, young Latino men. They've left a lot of young men with criminal records for rather small offenses. And in New York City, we've seen, lawsuits even over these stop-and-frisk tactics. But it certainly has exacerbated tensions.
It's good to talk to you. Thank you for joining us on Sky News this afternoon. Thanks very much indeed. If you were with us, yes.